read Proverbs chapter 6, 6 through 8. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest.
Thank you, Brinkley. That's the verse we'll be focusing on tonight. We are in the middle of a series on money. We started this series last week by taking a look at is money bad? That was our big question we were asking last week. And we looked at Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and what he specifically had to say about money. And what we realized is that Jesus' heart, when he talks about money, is all about our heart connected with God. Did the system crash again? Dang. Okay. All right. Hold on just a minute. Let me push this over to the side here. All right. We'll scoot this over. Okay. So last week we focused on this idea of that our hearts is really what God wants. God doesn't necessarily need our money, but God does care. Jackson, you listening? God does care drastically about our hearts. And Jesus is very clear. He doesn't want anything in this world, no treasure, no money, to come between our hearts and God's heart. That is really Jesus' main focus when he talks about money, is our hearts. And we talked about how what we focus on is where our hearts go. And we want our focus to be on Christ and have our hearts move and go toward Christ. And today, we're going to just talk about some good habits, some plans. We just played almost everyone's favorite challenge. I get requests for this all the time. It's Spotlight Tag. For those of you watching online, Spotlight Tag is a game where we have students crawl under the chairs, and I try to get them with a flashlight, and their goal is to get all the way to the front without me spotting a number that we have pinned on their back. And you guys have played this game tonight, and here's what I realized very quickly. You guys, all of you had some sort of plan. Some of you tried to go as quickly as physically possible. You were the first ones out of the gate. You were going to get to the front first before anybody else even had a chance to get to the front to try to catch me off guard and get up quickly. Some of you went with the crowd and were moving, hoping that with so many people coming down the chairs all at the same time, that you would be able to slip through and get through uncaught. And some of you were very cautious, and you moved slow, and you were methodical about your movements to make sure your number was always hidden. And some of you, like Logan, decided to go down the middle with a new element with a chair on top of your back. That was just, and Jocelyn, yes, you did as well, Logan and Jocelyn, absolutely. But you guys all had a plan. You had a plan as you started this game, and some of you have played this game before. And so you kind of had an idea of what you were doing, and you had an idea of where you wanted to go and how you wanted to do it. And some of you made up your plan right from the get-go tonight. You were just kind of figuring out as you go, and you made your plan up tonight. We are people that make plans. We make plans about our days. We make plans about our weeks. We make plans about our futures. People are constantly, you listening, Jackson? People are constantly asking, hey, what's your plan for fill in the blank? We are people that make plans, and yet when it comes to our money, when it comes to our finances, so often we just wing it. So often when it comes to our money and our finances, we just go. And we don't necessarily have a plan. And tonight we're jumping back into the book of Proverbs. We were there a lot last month. We've been there periodically throughout the year. Just as a reminder, the book of Proverbs was this book that was written by Solomon, who was the wisest man that had ever lived. He was given wisdom by God, and it talks about how God gave him wisdom, and then his wisdom was proven, and kings from all over the earth came to hear his wisdom. And so Solomon took the time to write this book of Proverbs, which is just a book of wise sayings. And in the book of Proverbs, it says this. Proverbs 6, you heard Brinkley read this. Go to the ant, O sluggard. All right, so let's just stop right there. Sluggard, that's a weird word. I assume Solomon is talking to people that he assumes are lazy. Now, I'm not saying that any of you in here are lazy, because I don't think that you guys are lazy. But I think that we can gain wisdom and we can gain a vision for the future based on what Solomon hears. So please don't get caught up on that one word sluggard and just dismiss the rest of the verse, because the rest of the verse holds a lot of wisdom for everyone. For everyone, no matter what age you are, no matter where you land socially or economically, this verse holds value for us. He says, go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer or ruler, she prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. This verse has everything to do with how we handle our money and how we plan. And Solomon just makes a casual observation in nature. There are animals, there are ants that prepare all summer long to store up food for the winter. We see squirrels saving acorns and nuts and food, and they store that up for the winter. We see bears that eat and prepare for hibernation. And Solomon says, when you look at nature and you make these observations, you see that there is a plan set in place for the future for the resources that these animals currently have. And Solomon says, we should be behaving the same way with our own resources. Solomon says we should be having a plan for our future. And so tonight, I'm not going to belabor this. I don't want to spend this a lot of time lecturing you on what your plan is and how to have a plan and what your plan should be step by step, because honestly, a plan for your finances is going to be different for you than it is for the person sitting next to you. And so tonight, I simply want to pose this question. What's your plan? Some of you get money a couple times a year at birthdays and Christmas. Some of you have a job and get money on a weekly basis. Some of you just get money randomly. What is your plan when you receive that money? Do you have a plan? If not, that's okay. Some of you came into here tonight ready to play spotlight tag, and you had no plan, no idea what you were doing. But as you went, you gathered a plan pretty quickly. And so what I'm encouraging you to do tonight is to begin thinking, what is my plan? How much do I want to save? How much do I want to spend? How much do I want to give back to God in some form or fashion? What is your plan for when you receive your finances? Because here's what I'm convinced of. What I'm convinced of is that habits dictate the direction of our life. Habits dictate the direction of our life. And if we can begin to form good habits now, it will dictate the direction of our life for the future in positive ways if we can develop positive habits. And so I know, and I was here in middle school and high school. I got money. I paid for what I needed to pay for, gas and whatever else I needed to pay for. And I may have given a little bit back to the church, and then I spent it. I didn't have a huge plan, but what I'm encouraging you is this. If you can start now developing a habit for how you spend your money, developing a plan for how you deal with your resources that come your way, you are going to be further along in your life than you would be if you don't develop a plan. And so I just want to pose the question, what is your plan? Because habits dictate the direction of our lives. So what's your plan for your habit with your finances? Check this out.